Okay, we're on the access road that goes out to the Nike missile base. The parcel of land here is known as the Hole in the Donut. When the park was originally formed, this area was being farmed, and they allowed the farmers to stay here and continue to use it. And a small piece of that land was a Boy Scout camp. And they allowed the Boy Scouts to keep using that too into the 70s, maybe into the early 80s. I'm going to show you one of the structures. Okay, what you see off in the distance is the remains of the outhouse, one of the outhouses. They had lean-tos that we slept in. It had block walls on 3 sides and screen on the 4th side, and a little vent area at the top of the 3 block walls. They were pretty toasty. You can see the coral rock in this area comes right to the surface. Here they've cut a drainage ditch in the coral rock, but that's what it looks like. When you dig in South Florida, depending on where you are, you go down 6-8 inches, maybe a foot of sand, and then you hit that rock. Here in the Everglades, it's a lot closer to the surface. There's hardly any dirt. Some places you see exposed rock. Park Service has been engaged in an effort to try and eliminate the Brazilian pepper. It's an invasive species that spreads like wildfire. Birds eat the seeds. When they poop them out, a tree sprouts. So they typically get started along fences and under power lines. And they pretty much took over parts of the farmland here in the Hole in the Donut. And the only thing they could come up with was bulldozing the trees and scraping all the dirt off the land to try and get all the seeds. They've been somewhat successful in the areas, but it's pretty expensive, as you can imagine. But here in this area, it's pretty much all native growth. It's good to see. Gumbo Limbo's really showing off there. Butterflies. Okay, we're rolling. For 125 years or so, we've been trying to destroy the Everglades. First, the bird hunters came. It was high fashion for the ladies to wear feathers in their hats. So they came here and killed the birds. Millions of birds. Egrets and herons. And then they, in the early 1900s, they started wearing the entire bird on their hat. And it was all the rage in especially northern cities. So it was ladies' clubs that turned that around. Realized what it was doing to the bird population and stopped it. Then in the 1920s, you had the land rush down here in South Florida, the land boom. So they dug a bunch of canals to drain the useless swamps, as they called them. Flew around in airplanes, throwing handfuls of seeds out for the Melaleuca tree. They were spreading Melaleuca trees that are native to Australia. They soak up a lot of water. And they thought they could dry up the entire Everglades and make a fortune selling all that property. Then the alligator hunters came and killed so many alligators. When the federal government started the endangered species program, they put the alligator on there. Since then, we've been able to undo a lot of the damage. The birds have come back. The alligators have come back. We stopped draining all the fresh water out of the Everglades. Over the past few years, they've made upgrades to Tamiami Trail and Alligator Alley, roads running east to west across the Everglades. Worked like a dike, held all the water back. They've made mile-long overpass, low elevation bridges to allow the water to flow, so it's returning the sheet flow to the sawgrass. The apple snails are recovering. The birds that eat the apple snails are recovering. Then we have the problems with the agricultural runoff. For years they were saying it was the sugarcane industry was the cause of all the pollution. They found out it's actually the orange industry, the citrus industry up in central Florida. All those pesticides and fertilizers were running off into the Kissimmee River drainage system, going into Lake Okeechobee, and then flowing south into the Everglades. A lot of the areas that used to be all sawgrass are now cattails, which require a higher level of nutrients. So they're taking steps to correct that. Then we've got the invasive species, the Melaleuca. They've killed most of them off. You've got the Brazilian pepper. They've cleared them up in some areas, but they're still flourishing a lot of areas all along the interstates and the turnpike. You see just millions and millions of them, and they're really tough to eradicate. Then you have the animals, the Burmese python, the iguanas are displacing the native animals. The Burmese pythons are eating everything. Blue herons, deer, raccoons, possums. You don't see the small mammals anymore in the Everglades because the Burmese pythons are eating them all. And they're doing snake roundups to try and capture them, but I don't see how they're ever going to eliminate them. The area is big as the Everglades and remote. There's just too much habitat for them to hide in. So there doesn't seem to be a magic bullet that'll cure that. This would be a good time to stop and think about what we're doing, what kind of planet we want to leave our kids. I'm not a enviro wacko or anything like that, but we do need to look at what we're doing. Look at the long-term consequences. Find solutions where we can. Those gumbo limbos are cool. Fantastic coloring. Here's more coral rock. So we enjoy this park today because a ladies' club decided it was worth saving. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, as much as anyone, lobbied, brought people out here, got them to look around. And eventually, it became a national park. So look around where you live and see what other areas need to be protected and preserved. And I'm not one of those people that thinks every little wet spot on the cattle farm needs to be declared a wetland. But where you have real habitats that are unique, the land needs to be purchased. Whether you can get the grassroots movement to support that or the government action. I've seen so many comments on the Facebook pages for the different groups. You know, we grew up in South Florida and all those, and they get all up in arms when a developer wants to develop private land that they own. Well, you know, if you want to preserve it, you got to buy it. You can't just get mad when they want to build something on it. That's what they bought it for. If there's a parcel of land that's unique enough that you need to save it, then save it. Buy it. Big tree fell over and left behind a hole in the coral.